Osiris.
Welcome to Flock Talk, the ultimate jam band community podcast where the grooves are endless and the vibes are infectious. Join the Femme Flock as we dive deep into the lifestyle, culture, and community of the colorful world of jam bands, everything that makes this genre truly unique. This episode, we sit down with Emily Bass, the Executive Director of FEMME HOUSE, an organization that's creating a community and opportunities for women, gender-expansive, BIPOC, and LGBTQIA plus creatives in the technical and behind-the-scenes areas of music. How they're providing education on all levels, including free workshops and online courses, and how they're spreading the word on how women and underrepresented voices can be the next producers, mixers, engineers, and DJs. So grab your glitter, bubble guns, and best show fit and join us on Flock Talk, where the people make the scenes sparkle. Hi, everybody. It's Nikki. And today I'm here with Jess and Leighton, and we've got another incredible episode for you. We're excited to welcome Emily Bass to Flock Talk. Welcome, Emily.
Hi,
Where are you recording from today?
New York City.
Woohoo! Are you down the street from Jess? Did you lean out the window and wave like everybody in New York is supposed to?
Yeah, we're across the river from each other. I'm so close to Madison Square Garden, it's dangerous.
Really? Oh, well,
Yeah, oh yeah.
for everybody who doesn't know, what is FEMME HOUSE? Tell us about you and FEMME HOUSE and how it's working and why you're here.
Yeah, totally. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me on. When I originally started chatting with Jess, it's exciting and it is, as a woman in the scene, you get pumped up to see other people doing similar things, whether that's, just engaging your community or whether it's happening organically or just partying with girls, whatever. But from a Femme House perspective, so Femme House was started about 5 years ago by LPGOB, who is really gained a name for herself in the scene, and her Mix-a-Lot, who is more on the business side of music. And the two of them, very good friends, they basically identified this major problem in the music industry, which is that there are not enough women on the technical side. So they started Femme House to basically be a platform for women to learn, women to come together. Our bread and butter is education. So I think the reason why there's not a lot of women or underrepresented groups in the music world is because they don't necessarily have the same opportunities. It's sort of systemic. So Femme House offers free programming, free education, and it's for anyone who kind of wants to break into the technical side, right? So we have a pretty robust platform for whether that's you want to learn to produce. We have DJing classes. We also are just a really, really badass community of women. Given LP's reach in the electronic scene, we have a lot of our genre has been pretty specific to the dance music world, but we're certainly expanding in that way beyond that. So we're looking more towards the jam world, given also her reach now with her Dead House initiative and R&B and all of that good stuff. So I would say if you are a woman who wants to break into music, come find us. And we believe that you can't be what you can't see. So, if you see more women on the lineup, you want to learn to do that, holler at us and we'll try to help you. And if we can't offer something for you, we'll try to connect the dots. But yeah, that's us.
God, I can't say how much I love that. I've been going through your website and like the education part was just blew me away because
Thank you.
had I known something like this was available to me personally when I was in like high school, I would have jumped on it. The production part of it, I would have freaking loved that. That engineering where you're looking at music and making it sound better. People just don't realize that there are women behind the scenes in that as well and that they can do that just as well as anybody else.
I think that is something really interesting too, that people don't even know that this is available to them, that I don't think that they understand that it's almost like, and I think about myself when my parents like pushed me into music, which I immediately regret giving up every instrument I played, but it's almost like when you're a girl in school, you think about like piano and chorus and the flute and violin and all of that, and you don't necessarily know that to actually make a song
Yeah.
you have to have these certain skills. I had no idea until later, right?
I didn't either. I played the flute in like middle school,
The
elementary
girl.
school, and I was like, I could have been a fucking flutist like for a rock band. I did not think about
Totally.
that. That would have been killer.
Yeah, I know. It's really interesting. And I do think also, and this is a question that we're always trying to answer too, is like, how are we getting in front of women early, like whether it's in schools or, because our target is kind of more like college and above. But it really does start when you're younger, but then it's like, how does a girl learn to DJ?
Yeah.
How is she downloading music? Like she's not. I think, you see the statistics indicate that how heavy leaning it is towards men, and that makes you want to change it, right?
Yeah.
When I see it, like it's all men, you want to change it or you want to run away the
Right.
other direction.
Yeah, and I think that is also really interesting is that, the women who are confident will succeed, right? Yeah, I think being a girl is really like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I fucking love being a girl, but I think like as a girl learning if you're in a classroom with all boys, like it's a little scary for some people, So I do think it is systemic. So I started working it with Femme House a little over 2 years ago. I took the executive director role about a year ago. We are at this really exciting point where I think we're gaining recognition by a lot of people in the industry. So it's really, really rewarding. We continue to activate in a way that we're really seeing the power of really what happens when you like bring women together.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit more about like your personal journey, music, and how you found Femme House?
Yeah, my personal journey is a little bit weird, but it's also maybe could inspire people to like literally the way I found Femme House is I slid into LP's DMs. So yeah.
I slid into Fem Block's DMs.
Leighton hit me up and said, I want to be a part of this. And look where we are.
That I did.
There you go, girl. I think sliding into DMs works. I'm also like, from a dating perspective,
True.
Hey, it worked for me. Yeah.
you slid into someone's DMs?
Twitter.
Someone in our community. Yeah. They've been together for 5 years now.
Yeah. Yeah. It worked.
So my journey has been a little bit wacky. I started, I guess it's actually funny. It's kind of ironic that I now work at this like very femme forward organization because my entire career has been pretty dude dominated. I also like grew up with have brothers, cousins, all boys. But so I started working on the PR agency side, just kind of like was doing tech PR, worked for BlackBerry, Research and Motion at the time, so not to date myself, BBM Queen. I then went to work at FanDuel, which is the sports betting company, and I worked there for 10 years. And it was an absolute frat house. I was a really early employee there, was doing their corporate communications.
That doesn't surprise me though that you said that. Like, I would assume that that's how that is there.
Yeah. No, that's super dude heavy.
It's super dude heavy. Honestly, I joined in when they were a startup and I left. I was like employee number 70 and I left when they were like 3,500. They had gone public. Like it was like I saw some shit. And then when I left, the CEO was a female. There was like definitely a lot of like progress happening, but it was a really sort of like I sort of feel like it was like a bit of a business degree working there. And so I left there I was there for like 9 years, and then I was on the crisis communications team at Epic Games, which I'm such a nerd, which is the company that makes Fortnite. And everyone's like, well, like Fortnite is a video game, like the metaverse, it's supposed to be fun. But the crisis piece is that they get sued a lot. There's a lot of child grooming that goes on in their chat rooms. It's like weird ass. So, anyways, I think like at that job, overseeing crisis comms was like kind of what I needed. Like you kind of need to be in a really shitty spot to realize that how to get into a better spot. I mean, it's one of those things where I'm like, it was so shitty at the time and I didn't know what to do after that, that now I look back and I'm like, that was actually really important in my career because I needed to be in that, like, maybe I just needed to be in this really shitty situation to realize to kick me in the ass to like do something better.
It teaches you so much, like about yourself and how to navigate things. And
Sure. Yeah, and from your experience too, like, and we put so much weight onto our jobs, it's so much of our time and the people that it's really important to I think that taught me, I was like, I do want to be in a job that I really love, right? And an industry that I love. So I did what everyone does and said, how can I monetize my hobby?
Good for you.
Yeah, I mean, I started doing artist PR for musicians for a little while, and then I was an LP fan and I slid into her DM. I love what you're doing with Femme House. And then we got coffee and then we became friends. And then over some time she was like, would you want to come like help out here? And then I said, yeah. And so then I was doing that kind of on the side. Started doing working for a music festival, and so now, which I still do on the side. And then I took on the executive director role about a year ago. It's been really incredible. It's really cool to be part of something very impactful, right? It's also like it's not that deep, And I think there's kind of like I have a lot of appreciation for it not being that deep. And what I mean by that is that like when we're on team calls and stuff and we get like really in the weeds about like what we're doing and our programming and all that stuff, it's like at the end of the day, we are all in the music industry because we love music and we want to be able to create experiences. And for us, like we want to be able to, for the artist, like we want to boost these artists. We want to give them like platforms if we can. And at the end of the day, that only enhances the fan experience. So that's why I'm here.
What kind of music are you?
Well, I'm drinking out of a fish cup, so
Amen, sister.
there we go. Cheers to you. My music taste is it's a little bit all over the place. I love fish. I love goose. My dad is the biggest goose fan I know, so it's like that's a big family bonding experience. My brother's birthday will be at Goose MSG, so
Hell yeah.
Oh,
my whole family will be at that. Yeah.
that's awesome. What a good birthday.
I know it's really cute. It's really interesting though. Like obviously music bonds people, but it is a huge bonding piece for my family. We like when we want to get together, we're like, all right, let's look at Fish Tour, let's look at Goose Tour. I am a house music fan. I am learning to DJ because why not? I'm in the space. Yeah, and then I'm like I don't even know how you would describe people like LCD Sound System and Tame Impala and those I don't even know what genre they would fall into. And then I'm like an old soul. My like Frank Sinatra was like my top artist in 2024. I know, and I'm like Etta James, yeah.
Love it.
So I'm all over. I mean, I have a Fleetwood Mac thing right
Yeah,
here,
I saw
but
that. I was just going to ask about that. That's awesome.
yeah.
You were talking about the systemic issues in the music scene. Why do you feel that the Femme House is actually necessary? What part of Femme House do you think is really making the change in this?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think giving people access to something that they would not necessarily have access to is it's life-changing for people. We have a fellowship program that is for anyone who can't really pay for or like the gear or the licenses you need or the mentorship. We basically like we offer them like a full 6-month program that they don't have to pay for. And these people who are go through our fellowship program, it's so gratifying because these are people who are like, I truly wouldn't have had access to this before. Like at the end of that, we try to actually give them like a live performance opportunity, so they don't just like fall into the wayside.
Hmm.
And that's really cool for people. And I think it's like, listen, like we're not curing cancer,
Mm.
but we are definitely creating meaningful opportunities for people who would not necessarily like have those opportunities before. Like what we were talking about before, like even if you come into Femme House and you're like, whoa, I didn't realize I could this was even an opportunity for me, like I think of myself like I didn't know what the fuck I was doing when I graduated college, right?
Right.
I think to us like even if we can reach like there's our fellowships and then like even if we can reach people who are like, oh, I didn't really know where I fit in from like a career standpoint or even from like a community standpoint, like that's a win for us.
Sure.
I think also right now, especially like given what's going on in the country, I think without getting political, I think a lot of people like don't know where they sit in the world, and there's just a lot of like divisiveness. And so I think
Much so.
we have a lot of people who just say like, and I'm sure you got this too, I think giving people a community, everyone's looking for community.
That's why we're here. Like the only thing I
Exactly.
care about is the community. It's changed my life. It's changed all of our lives on this screen right now. And that's why we started what we started, because it's so important. We wanted to do our part to foster it and help anyone else who doesn't feel like they have that, especially right now.
For sure. I just think if you can give someone an opportunity that they didn't have before, that's beautiful. You know, we've done things as simple as, we talk about like the live performance piece. I would say like education and mentorship is really our focus. But then there's like the live performance piece when, we curate these artist lineups that they wouldn't have had this opportunity before. That also creates this really interesting like experience between the audience and the artist. Like we've noticed that when we have like a bunch of new artists on stage and we're getting a bunch of people who are like, oh, I want to actually learn about like artists who are new to the scene. It's a really interesting experience. It's a really interesting fan experience. And you have people like all just like meeting people for the first time.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And you were saying like the feeling you get from like exposing people to things that you just knew that they wouldn't have access to before, or new artists being introduced and finding a way to make their way into the community. Would you say that one of those was your moments of aha and why you do this? Or is there something specific, a specific moment that you can think of that makes you feel like this is accomplishment? I've done what I wanted to do. This is a great thing that's happened. I'm so happy I did this.
I have those every time we do something, which is so rewarding.
That's awesome.
We just did in around Miami Music Week, which is the big electronic festival and conference in March in obviously Miami. It's where basically it's like everyone in the dance music industry is in Miami for a week. It's chaos and fun, but we did our first ever, we called it the FEMMEs, and it was this like mini awards program for basically recognizing women in the scene who have not, in the electronic scene specifically, who have not necessarily been recognized. And like you guys, it was so magical. We gave out awards like across like everything from like best producer to best sound engineer to best, like we have a radio mix on Sirius to like best radio mix. But we like really, really recognized these women of color who are like OGs in the scene. They all gave speeches, and these women are not, they're not 18, they're not 20, they've been in this world for a while. They like invented house music,
Oh,
and they got up there and they gave speeches that were like, you don't even understand. Everyone in the room, and we also have people in the room from every aspect of the industry. We have like the managers, the agents, the record labels, which was also really cool to see these people come out. And then these big name DJs. If you're in the DJ space, when you have these names, I don't know if anyone listening knows like Sarah Landry and Nora and Pure and the Martinez brothers, when you have these people in the room giving their time in this really chaotic week, and then watching these like Crystal Waters, who is the goat, like there's all these women being supported by like newcomers to the scene. And we like created this moment that was, and recognized these people, and it was, oh my God, like this is so magical. And it also really, like, I think what was also cool for us is we proved to ourselves that we are not only here for like the artist who is just entering for the first time or who is an aspiring artist, but like we're also creating this really beautiful thing for people who have been in the industry forever who are not getting the recognition that they necessarily deserve. And it was really, really cool. We were all like, our team left that and we were like, it was just really, really amazing to see. I honestly, like, I leave a lot of our panels and our activations, and I mean, it keeps me doing this job for no money.
yeah, it sounds pretty emotional, which is that's
Yeah,
that's what you live for, is those moments when you're like your heart's gonna burst. You're like, oh my gosh,
totally.
you feel it in your soul, and that's why you do it.
Exactly. It's so soul quenching. And I think when you like have a job previously that's
That was soul draining.
fully dry as hell, when you have these moments, you're rewarded in ways that are not necessarily, tangible.
Sure.
Are the Femmies going to be annual?
Yeah, I think so. That was another thing. We were like, if this is the first annual, and then like hopefully we can also recognize other genres and stuff too. So the goal is for them to be annual.
Save 3 tickets for us.
You're in.
That'd be great.
Tickets for life. Do you all like electronic music or dance music?
Like, yeah, I'm not a hater at all. I'm not really familiar. If I hear it, I love it.
Yeah.
I love like disco house. I'm a big like tiki
Yeah.
disco at Knockdown Center in the summer. Find me there. This whole weekend, I've been out of the city for a while, but there's so much coming up this weekend. I like anything I can dance to.
Yeah.
Not all electronic, but a lot of house.
I mean, I think also the interesting thing too now is that all festival, not all, but a lot of the festivals that historically wouldn't book a DJ. I mean, look what Trevor's doing, like it's so entertaining.
It is. It's a pure entertainment. And that's what I said. I'm like, I'm entertained.
Exactly. But I actually think it's cool. And I think from if you're a fan of music, you know what you like what you like. And then when you hear something that you're like, oh, wait a minute. I think there's just a common misconception too about DJs in general.
Oh yeah.
A lot of people once they hear a DJ, like a good DJ, they're like, oh, amazing, you know?
But there's a difference between a good and a bad DJ.
Absolutely.
And I feel like it is so jam adjacent that jam fans would not
Oh,
even realize.
totally.
Like, why do you think so many people love Disco Biscuits?
It's on the spot.
And that's why people cling to LP's remixes of all the Dead songs. Like, Dead House has a place and really has brought more of a jam community into the EDM scene and made them realize, oh my goodness, wait, this actually is more similar than I thought it was. And I like this a lot more. So then it's expanding the audience, which has been awesome.
And I also think the communities are more similar.
Especially like raver culture to like jam band festival
A
culture.
thousand
We
percent.
did an episode on like festival outfits and just like, I don't know, outfits generally for shows. And I see so much of like the raver culture come into the jam scene with the sprouts and the glitter and trading things. It's so cool.
It's cool. And I think also if you think about what a lot of people like about the music is that it's very
Mhm.
unpredictable, right? Like
We don't know what's
you
coming.
don't know,
Spontaneity. That's what we
yeah.
want to be there for the spontaneity, for something magical to happen.
Want to be there for the Sunday, for the magic, for the improv. And I think when you go to a DJ set, I know that like if LP is going on a tour and she just came out with an album, yes, she's going to play songs that she has created.
Right.
That being said, you have no idea what these people are going to play. And it's always a journey, you know? And so I think there is the aspect of the parallels make so much sense to me because if you're someone who is going to a show and you just want to hear the same set list, like if you want to look at the set list from their previous night and okay, then you're not then you're a different kind of fan and that's okay too. But yeah, the communities and raver culture and jam culture are very similar. There's a lot of love in both too.
We're talking about events and you talked about the Femmies. So what kind of events do you put on like as the Femme House and which ones are your favorites?
Yeah, so Femi is clear winner.
Yeah.
So recent event that we did was we went to South by for the first time, South by Southwest in Austin. And South by is pretty expensive to buy a badge. So what we did, we have a really good partnership with W Hotels. LP is their global music director, and they've just been like an amazing partner.
Oh, so cool.
Yeah. So what we did is we basically took over the lobby of W Austin and we sort of created an artist hub. So the idea was like, I mean, we weren't like checking badges, but the idea was like if you're in Austin or on South by and you can't afford a badge, like you can still get something out of it. And so we created this artist hub that started with, I'm biased, but like we do some pretty badass panels. But it started with Amy Corbin, who is like this badass at C3 Presents, which is a Live Nation company, but she did a fireside chat with our co-founders just about like her journey and what it takes to like be booked at festivals. So if you're an aspiring artist in the room, you're getting a lot out of that conversation if you're trying to get booked, right? And that was the beginning of the day. And then we had like a synth playground. So if you are learning to produce and like, a synth playground is basically for producers to come along and play around with the synths and be able to like make music on that.
Ooh,
So
cool.
there was, yeah, and then everyone always needs a new headshot. So we had a headshot station. We had a wellness station with backline, and it's sort of the idea was to have touch points of different part of like what you would need as an artist. Checking in on your mental health. You want to learn how to produce using a synth, you need a headshot. You want to learn how to get booked. So it was a day-long activation and it was really, 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 really powerful, I thought. And the feedback was really impressive. And that was one of my favorite things that we've done because I think we combined education and thought leadership and tapped into our partners in a way that was really reaching a community that Austin is a very robust music community, right? And really being able to, stick to our guns of how do we offer something for people that is going to make an impact for them and also is free.
That's
So,
I want to comment on that because the whole reason that I didn't go to South by Southwest this year is because they've pulled back on the music aspect of it so much. So paying for that badge it wasn't worth it in my eyes. But for y'all to put on an event like that where you are getting honestly more value than anything is something that needs to be recognized. And I wish that they promoted the hell out of that because that is ultimately what people need at the end of the day, not just to walk around and see who's selling what. Thank you for doing that as someone who does go to that and missed out on it. I wish that
thank you for
I had known about that, but that is incredible, truly.
Thank you. Yeah, and hopefully we'll do. I think we're kind of testing things out and they're working. Really cool to see. I feel like all of our activations are sort of my favorite. And I think another thing that we're trying to do is, when you go to a festival, that's a big group of women who don't know that we exist, right? We are leaning in a little bit more to not only when LP is playing a festival, but what are the festival opportunities that we can tap into with women there on site, right? And
broader range at a festival for sure.
totally. Yeah, and so I question we're trying to answer too is what is something that's going to be impactful for we're at a festival to party, right? So like and see some music and be our friends, but what's something that's going to be impactful for people on site too, right? We've done stuff like at Electric Forest, they have the Brainery, we've done panels there. That was incredible, right?
Talk to us about Viva El Ganzo.
Okay, finally. I'm kidding. Um, So Viva Gonzo was the first time we did like an all-female jam session. It was pretty easy because they have a studio at the hotel there. LP is really passionate about bringing genres together from the artist perspective as well. And so we brought together Sierra Hall, LP, and Adriana from Everything Here is Alive, and they did a jam session. And LP acted as like the producer, so she had played the underlying track, and Adrian sang over it, and Sarah, we joked that we created like Mandolin House. It was so cool.
Wait, can you listen? Is this available?
Hopefully, not sure yet, but the track that they made, which we would like to release, is very, very good.
I want to hear it.
I'd love to hear it.
And I think even just seeing Sierra and LP meet, and then Adriana meet, and then just all of them. It was just an improv jam sesh, and it was so amazing. And we invited fans to join in into the studio, so some people came to watch, and everyone in the room was just sitting there, kind of looking at each other, like it was the coolest thing they've ever seen because it was, it was one of those things from a fan perspective, it was really neat. From the artist perspective, it definitely opened some doors for them that I don't know that they necessarily were thinking about before. I think it's something that we would love to take to other places. I think it's challenging when you don't necessarily have the studio piece built in, because you need the all the technical pieces. But that's not to say that it's impossible, right? And it doesn't necessarily need to be at festivals. I think it's like how, as we are thinking about, expanding into other genres, how are we bringing together vocalists, producers, and Holly Bowling and LP now work together, which is really
Yeah,
cool.
that's very cool. Have you guys thought about doing your own festival?
You know what? That's our North Star. Yeah. When we have, Femme House Brain Sesh, it's always like Femme House Festival. 'Cause like how cool would it be?
I would never miss that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It would be like now, in addition to the headliners, like how cool would it be to be like we can book our fellows, or we can book these people who went through the Femme House.
Yeah, you know them, you trust them, you know what they bring to the table.
Yeah.
No, I know. There was actually apparently an all-female festival this week in Austin called Babe Stock. I saw it that it existed. I don't know much more about that, but it's
Guys, we're going to Babe
I
Stock.
know, we're all going babe stock.
We are babe stock. What are you talking about?
Even
You could meld your own genres. You could get people from all over the place. It would be amazing. I would be there. I
Mhm.
would
I
totally
know
be there.
we would be there. We would all be there. Just it would be really neat.
So let's talk about education because the education part really stood out to me. So tell us about the online courses and how that works.
Yeah. I would think of it as we have online within our education, we have online sessions, and this is sort of just like verbiage if you're on the site. We have online sessions we have them once or twice a month. They're on Zoom. You can join live or they're also recorded and put on YouTube. And those are sort of ever-changing topics, right? So it's intro to Ableton 12 or, how to use a drum kit. It's changing and they're more one-offs. Free, our educators are evolving, but we have our two like main educators are Minnie Bear and Mary Droppins, who have, been a pivotal part of Femme House since the jump. And now we're offering a kind of a more our educators are becoming a little bit more diverse, just not only from like the way that they look, but also the way that what they can teach. So those are our online sessions. And then our online courses are more classroom style, like 4-week courses on one topic. Those have been specific to production. Last year we did one on LP gave some stems for one of her songs, and it was basically how to make a remix. And then some are just like if you are new to production, here's like the basics of production, and those are 4 weeks long. You have the opportunity to join with an instructor live, but they're also recorded. So like if you decide, hey, on June 18th, I want to learn to produce, you can go onto our site and you can still access that. We are thinking about evolving our programming to we have like intro to DJing, just like those online sessions that are one-offs, but we're thinking about doing like a more robust like DJing basics course that's like, 4 weeks long, really, really, really understanding the basics of that because of what we're seeing right now is a lot of people want to be DJs and DJing is actually sort of becoming like the introduction to producing. That is something that we are working on right now with the hopes that that will launch in the fall. So if you want to be a DJ, check that out. And we think like there's obviously a lot of information out there and we kind of want to bring that into one very much more easier to absorb place that you can be able to like ask the questions if you're joining live, but also if you want to decide at any point you want to learn to DJ, this will make it very, very simple for you. And then if you choose to go production road, we have that for you too. Those are sort of like our main pieces of education. Another program that we have is targeted more towards someone who wants to enter the industry and learn about other parts of the industry that's not necessarily an artist or performer. It's called Backstage Pass. It's a series that would feature someone who is, yeah, just like on the music business side, whether it's a manager, an agent, and really showing their career journey. So if someone who wants to enter this industry and doesn't really know, the options for them, it's less educate. Well, no, it's education, I guess. And that is, online via Zoom, also recorded, put on YouTube. And they're sort of like fireside chats or panels that talk to people who are kind of behind the scenes of music.
That's awesome. I love that there's options so that you can learn if you want to just get into the music business. Here's some things you can do. Like there's nothing out there that tells you that. I mean, you've heard of like tour manager and video producer and all that stuff, but to give you actually education and to tell you how to do that, just if you know that you want to be in the music business,
Yeah.
that's brilliant. That's brilliant because there's
I'm
just
reminding myself I think we're going to get Sam on, Sam King.
ooh.
Yeah.
If somebody wanted to get involved with Femme House, how would they do that? What opportunities exist for somebody to be involved with the actual Femme House itself?
I mean, I think it depends. I think if you're someone who just wants to like say what's up, I think you can from a pure just saying hi standpoint, like follow us on social media, reach out to me. I think if you want to get involved, sign up for one of our courses. Once you sign up for one, classic marketing, like you're in our world, and so sign up for our newsletter. It's cute. And we're always coming out with new stuff. And for baseline, sign up for a course, see what we're about, check out our YouTube, check out our Instagram. That's like our main source of information. Reach out to us. Once you're here, you're family, you know? So,
Which is what we like.
yeah,
Do you have to be femme to participate?
you do not. We big believers in allyship. You don't have to be, we're not going to discriminate. If you are someone who is, let me just say this. If you're a man and you want to take one of our classes, keep your commentary to a low roar.
Yeah.
You know, because I think like there's an intimate, like back to what we talked about at the top, there is an intimidation, confidence factor that we've seen it, we see it. We encourage everyone to join. Net net. If you are going to join, just be respectful, right? Be respectful
Be
of,
aware of what
Right.
community you're coming into, how
yeah, don't be overbearing. And it's like I don't even want to have to say that to people, but
Is the membership, I don't know if that's the right word, but is the participants mostly female, LGBTQ,
yeah, BIPOC,
BIPOC,
like
all that stuff?
women
yeah,
identifying.
yeah,
That's mainly
exactly.
who attends your courses, who comes to your events, that type of thing. But you're more than willing to take anybody. It's not like you can't.
Yeah. I mean, no, it's I'm we're no, I that's what we're not gonna
But we don't want the bros broing, is what we're saying.
We need men to create the inclusive community. Like we can't just do it on our own. We need everyone to be an ally. Even if you're not femme identifying, women identifying, like you're still part of our flock as long as
Yeah.
you
for
want to be
sure.
What better way to get more people involved is to educate them.
it.
So
Yeah, and I think that's a really interesting piece of this too, is that the more people that know about communities like this that exist, the more I have found, and I would be curious if you would echo these sentiments, is people do want to support, right? Like when they know that this is a resource for them. I think about even like the Goose MSG after party, right? Like Dave called me and said, I know this is a thing, like do you guys want to do it? And I give him a lot of credit for that, right? And I give a lot of people in the industry credit because once I think they are aware that something like this exists, they are good at thinking about us or funneling to us. And I think that is I don't fault anyone, right? Because like until you know about something, how would you know to people are lazy. And I'm not saying that about everyone in our industry, but I'm like it's easier when you're booking a lineup or when someone comes in your inbox, it's easier to send them to the same people, right?
Yep.
Or book the same people. So I give people a lot of credit when they come to us and say, we have this artist who doesn't really know where to begin, or we're booking this lineup and we want to book more women, or that's great, like that's considered a win in my book.
No, I totally identify with that. When I'm talking about the femme flock, I try and get in people's faces because if you don't stop them, they're not paying attention. But then after
Yeah.
they understand who we are, what our mission is, like people have started reaching out. We're now becoming part of that list of like, I guess, the outreach, I guess, and like those organizations and communities that people think of. And it's been one of the things we've been focused on because we want to be part of the conversation. We think what we're doing is important, just like what you're doing is. And a lot of times we all get looked over.
Totally. And I give you all so much credit because you are building this community that is so inspiring and welcoming. And I really give you so much credit. And thank you because I think you're sort of doing in parallel what we are doing in a different space, right? And in a space that we are like in the Venn diagram, it's coming together.
Yeah, like also the same space. Like that's why we were so excited to have you
Exactly.
on because our missions are the same in a sense.
Yeah. 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 And I think just in general, the more people that you educate across the board, guys too, like we like know so many dudes, like all the artists too. I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ, book a female opener.
please,
Literally all I think about.
yeah, get a woman on that damn stage.
We love
That's
when
all.
there's women on stage.
It's our favorite.
Yeah. And then I think, I mean, and then I'm like on the flip side of that is I'm like, unfortunately, in the funnel, like headline material. The like there's already the size of the amount of women to choose from is already smaller. And then when you go up the funnel and you get to like people who are even
Smaller and
eligible,
smaller. Smaller.
exactly even eligible to be like going on tour or headlining a festival, that funnel is like go this way, this way.
Mhm.
It's like tiny, you know?
Mhm.
And so I don't fault people for that. But that's why this is like this initiative is even more important because you gotta get more people into the
Into that funnel. Hmm. And
exact.
that's also like having women on your crew or be your designer or just like part of the whole thing. They don't maybe not they don't need to be the face, but like including them in every aspect is something else that we talk a lot about because we can do things too.
For sure.
Which is awesome because that's what Emily's just made that point is that people don't know where women can fit and they can fit everywhere. And now we just need to know what places there are because they've been reserved for men for so long. It's not something that's widely known. You're putting a spotlight on and going, look, women, you can do all these things too. These are all available as well. So now we can get more women in those spots. So it's kind of like it's a circle of life.
For sure. It is a circle of life.
It's a circle of life. And so the more that we can get out there, the more people will know, the more that there'll be more diversity in there than just dudes. So I love this so much. It's so rewarding to see that there's people pushing this from your perspective. So
Yeah, and I think like I mean, there's a lot of people pushing it, right? And I think we got to keep pushing. I think the funniest thing for me is that people are like, "Wow, like you must be such a feminist." I'm like, I'm actually like, don't get me wrong, I'm not a feminist, but I'm like, I have never classified myself as like a feminist, you know? If anything, I've been like classified as like more of like a bro just because of like I don't know,
had
everything.
to work with them.
Exactly. And I'm like, whatever. But it's just, it's really, that's a really interesting thing to me too, is that people are, it's like mocking in like a funny way and like a respectful way. People are like, oh yeah, like someone's got to fight for the women. And it's like, shut up.
Yeah, shut up. We just want like equal opportunities and representation and to be included. I don't think that's anything like we should be ashamed of fighting for,
So it's also not revolutionary.
right? We're all doing
You know,
it
Right.
and we've been doing it
yeah,
forever.
yeah.
Exactly. It shouldn't be this hard.
No, it shouldn't be this
It
hard.
shouldn't be this
But
hard. Being a feminist, I think, is just being aware. That's all it is being
totally.
aware.
Well, the definition of feminism is equality for all.
Right on.
Preach it, sister.
That's all we want. So, what artists should we be on the lookout for from your perspective and from FemHouse perspective?
Great question. So let me think about this. I mean, we have a lot of amazing artists to our DJs. So Val Fleury is a girl that everyone should check out. She is a Femme House fellow. She just came to Miami with us. Who else is really good? I mean, Rivka Ruth, obviously.
Said, hey, Becky.
Hey, Becky. I think if you're new to house music and you like vocal house, Kalina Sanders is she started as a vocalist and then she learned to DJ, so she sings and DJs. She's really, really impressive. Who else?
Who are some of your personal favorites?
My personal favorite DJs,
Yeah.
LPGOB,
Good answer.
obviously.
Boss woman.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Um, I'm really into his name is Folamore. He's not a girl, but Folamore. If you like groovy disco house, he's really good.
If somebody's listening to this and they have a brand or a platform, how can they work with you or get support for their mission?
Yeah, I think we have a lot of partners who we work with in a variety of ways, and we're always looking for new partners. And I think whether you're like a brand or just, want to be able to like support the space, we do everything like we had brand sponsors for the South by Southwest activation. We've talked to liquor brands about like, doing like a bourbon and beats workshop. So there's really a number of ways that we want to work with brands and we can work with brands to get their brand in front of a very, very passionate audience and also like help them, fight a good fight if they're interested in this very important initiative, which not all brands are, right? So I think if like the way that I think about it is that if you are someone, and either an individual or a brand who really is passionate about music and passionate about equity in music, there are a million ways that we can partner with them. Yeah, that's like both on the education piece to like creating an in-person activation or adding on to an activation we're already doing, all that good stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. I think we covered a lot of ground here and so much good information. You guys are really, you're hitting the spot, and I can't be more happy to hear about how you're doing it. So this was very enlightening.
Right? I feel like I have to take a bunch of courses now.
I know. I'm like, I want to be a DJ. Fuck.
Good.
Yeah, no,
That could be my side hustle.
I have so many side hustles, but it sounds like we need another one.
I know.
Yeah, but you know what? Like even as a hobby, like I think if you think you have good music taste, like it's pretty fun, you
Right?
know? Uh,
I think I'm pretty good with the music thing. Yeah, so that's why I'm like, man, I could be a really good DJ. I could spin like New Kids on the Block and the Grateful Dead. Oh
honestly,
my God.
there, Nikki, I'm with you. I was with my friend last night who he is a touring DJ, and we were talking about my growing DJ career, which is not a career. Um, and I was like talking about learning, and he's not the first person who says this. He's like, truly half of being a good DJ is having good music taste. And the reason why so many DJs are not good is because they think they have good music taste and they don't.
They
And
don't.
obviously being able to like read a crowd and whatnot. But
Right.
like, you know,
But you have to have exposure to all that. So if you don't have exposure to that type of music and you've just been listening to like
the same
one
stuff.
thing your whole life, then it's not going to work. I mean, that seems pretty obvious to me. But some people, you just don't know.
Yeah, and then there's the people who just go and they look at like the top tracks and they just, I mean, you're not going to stand out. And maybe you don't want to stand out, but that's not,
It doesn't sound interesting.
doesn't sound interesting. So
Mm-mm.
I think if you think you have good music taste, go for it.
Absolutely.
We can do it together.
Right on.
Yeah.
And can you go over what your website and your socials are real quick?
Yes, happily. Website is www.thisisfemmehouse.com. Instagram at thisisfemmehouse. I'd say those are the two best places to reach us. I am also, I'm very reachable. My email is emilyfemmehouse@gmail.com. I'm like about to give like my social security number on this.
Don't do that.
I'm like, yeah.
No phone numbers.
My routing number is no, but seriously, like, I mean, my Instagram is EC Bass. You can DM me. I'm very responsive. We started this conversation saying slide into the DMs. We'll end this conversation saying slide
Slide
into
in the
the DMs.
DMs.
Respectfully.
Final question we have, though, at this point is we at the Femme Flock are all about celebrating inspiring and influential women. Can you tell us about a woman who has inspired you?
My mother
Mom. We love the mom answer. We will always take the mom answer.
is literally the first person I thought of. So my mom and her mom, honestly.
Mom and grandma.
My grandma, yeah.
Grandma.
My grandma, yeah. I mean, my mom is. My mom worked in education her whole life with special ed children, so she's just like, I know she's just like one of those people. But she's such a homie. And yeah, she'll probably listen to this, actually. She'll definitely listen to it now.
Better.
Yeah, my babs. But yeah, but my mom is actually a really interesting answer for me because she is so inspiring to me, and also it's almost like she's removed her mother cap to support me in a way as I've gone on this like I'm don't not necessarily in this like conventional path, like I did a career pivot in my 30s. I just entered my mid to upper 30s, and I'm not married, and I'm so happy, and I'm just like doing something. I'm kind of going by beating my own drum, and that's it been very joyous for me. And my mom, despite like wanting this traditional life for me, has sort of like put her mom hat aside and been like, "But honey, you seem great." And so I think she's inspiring to me as like a human, and also inspiring to me as like a friend and a supporter. And what she's done with her career, and also being able to be there for so many people in her career and also be like go part-time to raise my brothers and I. And she's the best. So
That's awesome. We love Mom.
we love mom.
Um,
Yeah.
well, I want to thank you so much for taking time to talk to us today, Emily.
Thank
This was so much
you.
fun. I can't wait to see you at a show and give you a hug because this was great. Absolutely. Thank you so much for taking the time. We
Thank
loved
you.
having you.
Yeah, this was so great.
Come back anytime.
Thank you so much. This has been fascinating, and I might take a course this fall. Let's see.
Yes, do it.
Woohoo.
Cool. But yeah, thank you so much for having me on. This was so nice.
This pod is made by women for everyone. We wouldn't be here without you, and we want to hear from you. If you want to get involved with the FemFlock, fill out our Get Involved form on our website, thefemflock.com. That's FEMME. We are currently building a street team of folks across the country of all ages and backgrounds who love spreading the word about inclusivity and fun. Tag us on socials if you're dancing at a show with your crew, showing off your outfit, hosting or attending a community event, or promoting something you think we'd love. If it's for the community, we're here for it and we want to see it. The space is for everyone, and we're so excited you're a part of it. Don't forget to follow along with the FemFlock on Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky, or join our Reddit community. Talk to y'all soon, and flock on.
Osiris.